Okay, so in today's video, I'm going to be all like those YouTube people and be all professional. No, I'm not. I can't. Look, for a start, that's a terrible shot. Okay, sit around here. Right. Let's start again. I want to talk about pop songs and how I tend to tackle playing them. Jazz improvisation is a lot about harmony. Pop songs are not a lot about harmony. They're kind of about chords, and they quite often have interesting jumps from one chord to another. But tonally, it doesn't really suit the way that jazz musicians improvise. Things jump around a lot. There's a lot of root position harmony, which kind of nails everything to the floor a bit. Jazz harmony tends to be more ambiguous, which doesn't make it better. It's just a different way that things have evolved. I think that improvisation on this kind of music, for me, starts with a philosophy of what improvisation is. And for me, it's improvising with the chords as well as improvising on the chords. As long as the direction of the song is recognizable, it kind of works for me. So I tend to play a bit fast and loose with the chords, if I'm honest. If you take two chords like G major and F major, and I'll try and show you how you might move between them over time, getting some interesting sounds in between. Okay, so let's say you've got a G major chord like that. We're going to leave the root out for the moment, just to make it a bit more interesting. Then you've got to get to here. F major, again with the root out. So you could go like that. Then you get a G minor sound in the middle of it. G, G minor, F. But then why not make it a bit more chromatic? This is sliding here. So why not make that a flat? Then suddenly we got this weird sound here. This is like a D augmented or a G minor with a major seventh with no root. Because there's no root, it's ambiguous. Those ambiguous chords like whole tone chords and stuff like that are kind of useful because they go anywhere you want. If you make that a flat, then you just make the whole thing going down in semitones. That's not very interesting, you to get G, G flat major, F major. But what about if you make this movement, instead of it being a chromatic movement, why don't you make that a B natural? Now, when you look at that line on its own on the bottom, D to B to C is perfectly innocent, isn't it? But then in combination with this, you get, so you've got a kind of G there, then you've got B major with no third, and then F. So you get simple movement, but harmonically the sound is complicated. So that sequence is kind of just like simple movement, everything moving together. But obviously you can combine that in any way you want. You can have melody lines. Basically, as long as everything comes back and is going in the right direction, it makes sense. To me, that makes more sense sometimes than all the modes and the scales that you can extrapolate. Because when you've got to stay close to the movement, which you do in pop songs, otherwise you kind of lose it. You've got to stay close to where the actual song is going rather than the specifics of the harmony, I think. I'll try and play a bit just between G and F to demonstrate what I mean. And also the other thing is that there's 3 parts in this all the time. That goes slightly against the grain of what normally happens in jazz, because you normally pile on dissonance to get more colour, and you can do that as well. But the 3-note thing means you get a lot of these ambiguous chords that don't point anywhere, and that's quite useful.